Yeah, okay. Here we go. If you run a business, however big or small, and sometimes wonder whether you're doing things the hard way or the right way, then you're in the right place. We're two business owners who choose to sit around the same table, share mistakes, challenge each other, and keep learning. We are two ordinary blokes in business, and this is our journey to a million. Morning, John.
Good morning, Martin, and how are you today?
I'm not bad, thank you. Not bad. I'm on the tools today, so in uniform.
Are you?
Yes.
Oh.
How about that? On my way to a million, and I'm still on the tools.
But you're not in pink.
No, I'm toning it down today.
Yeah.
It's early.
But it's Women's International Women's Day this week. Last week.
Right. So yeah, here we go, John. I think
anyway,
as podcasters, I think we may have made a mistake here, John.
Why is that, Martin?
On Monday, the day after International Women's Day, we released a podcast telling everyone that we were going to talk about women in lawn care the following week.
I know, but at least we got the publicity.
Yeah, there is that. That. We've nailed it.
Martin, this is a serious note now. In business and in life, there's things you can control and there's things you can't control.
And this was definitely one of those things that we could have controlled.
And as an entrepreneur on the way to a million, we have to remind ourselves of that.
Right, okay. Well, on that wonderful start, talking about our rubbish.
Shall we talk about women in lawn care then? Because it was...
Let's go for it. A week late, let's do it.
Well, you got to tell them again. So let's. Did we actually get any questions from women or comments from women in lawn care?
I haven't from my side. Did you get any?
No.
Well, there's a good start.
Well, it is. The comment from my lady in lawn care is, "Oh my God, you've tidied the office." But that wasn't because she listened to the podcast, because she went into it. So, but there you go. That's so my office is still nice and tidy. Okay, yeah, we thought it'd be quite nice to mention women in lawn care, and I suppose it coincided with the International Women's Day, which was the 8th of March. So we are a little bit late on that. But I thought it would be interesting to talk about a number of things. There's got to be very careful here now talking about women, haven't you, Martin?
Do you know what?
This
is part of my problem I have with this, is that you know it does feel like a bit of a minefield going into it, and I think I'm pro people, and I think that everyone should go and reach for the stars, you know.
Yeah.
And I think anything we can do as business leaders, he says loosely, anything we can do to help people, male or female, is a really positive thing. And I think probably women are a little underrepresented in our industry, although it is changing, isn't it? I mean, we know that there are some female techs in the industry, which is fantastic.
It is.
There's a lot of there's a lot of technical ladies as well, aren't there?
Yeah, I'll support that, because that's where I think when I first said to you we should talk about women in lawn care, it's more about, well, how did Heather get involved in your business and how did my Kate get involved in the business, and I was going to share some of that, and I thought that'd be good. But then actually when you do start looking at the industry, there are a lot of people in our world, and I'm sure in other worlds as well,
in business in general.
In business in general, yeah, that are doing some really, really interesting and probably, I am being careful on how I say it here because I'm not very good, but without being a male chauvinistic sort of pig, doing roles that were traditionally probably thought as only men would do. And yeah, in our industry, there's a lot of people. So name a few names. We've got Daisy from Greenbest. There's Callie Clack from Origin.
I think
you can help me out here, Martin, if you can.
I was just going to say, I think probably the thing that's changed the most is the opportunity, and rightly so, because the ability and capability's always been there. I think just the changes are hopefully in a positive way are that the opportunities are more available to women in all industries. And I think it's really important because they bring enormous skill, empathy, which is a massive one in business, which I think is highly underrated, because people is about business, and women seem to have, in my experience, a much better empathetic kind of skill than certainly I have. I'm judging them by myself, basically, John. I've not had empathy for a long time in my life, and now I've seen the light, and I'm working on it. So yeah, I think that for me is it's all positive, all positive.
Yeah, and I think so. My daughter's doing a year out in a big factory in Darlington, basically, and she wanders around there in her role, and is treated with the utmost respect, which is brilliant. But we had an open day. They had an open day last year, and to go around that factory with her and see the factory, but see the environment that she's working in and what she does and what people say is amazing. And I think I left school when I could leave school and went to sort of college, and then I got a job, and that's the only environment I've worked in. I've never done sort of university sort of route. Everything else has been through grit, really. I think it's amazing that there's people not just on an operational side that's come into their businesses, like we could mention lots of names of people in their family businesses like Kate and Heather, but actually there's people in corporate businesses that are doing these roles, which I think is amazing, really.
For me, it's a lot more simple in my head, probably because my head is simple, but if you've got the ability to get stuff done and you're good at it, it doesn't really matter what colour, sex, where you come from, what your background is, how much you weigh, how much hair
it's
you've
ability
got.
to do the job, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. If you can get stuff done and you get it done to a high standard, and it's it's what the business needs, then
yeah. And as an employer, what you're looking for is the best person that's going to fit in with your culture, fit in with your vision, and do the best job. And that's what we're looking for as employers, isn't it?
Amen,
regardless
brother.
of industry.
Amen, brother.
So I'll let the listener into a secret. It was never a plan that Kate joined Greener Gardens, but it happened a long time ago, and it's happened for all the reasons that we just talked about. That she was, I don't think she'll mind me saying, but there was a number of sort of issues within the company that she worked at, and we were talking one day, and I says, "Look, Kate, it's just not worth it. We can't afford it, but come and join us, and we'll make it work." Because at the time we were running a little lifestyle business. That's almost like what I'd done, from not doing all those miles up and down the motorway each week, and we did. We made it work, and originally what we thought we could do is we thought we could do a lawn cutting service, and she could go out and just sort of cut some lawns, because she felt quite comfortable sort of doing that. So we went out there looking for a lightweight lawn mower, but actually she turned around and says, "But I can do what you guys do. I like what you guys do. You go and talk to people about lawns and grass, and I have an interest in all that sort of stuff." And we said, "Okay, well, off you go then. We'll do that, shall we?"
That's the opportunity, right?
And she turned out to be the best salesperson we've ever had, because she wouldn't stand any hassle. She actually presented it in exactly what you talk about, Martin. What do you want to achieve? What conditions have you got? What do we need to do to get it to the standard to deliver what you want to achieve? And this is the price. And that was it. And I think when you talk to Kate about this, she will say that over the last sort of 15 years, the perception that she gets on the doorstep from people has changed completely.
Yeah, I'm right.
It has changed from, oh, you're a lady, to actually, utter respect from men and women, and it's been great.
Well, my experience, John, I was slightly smarter than you in my opinion because I put it in the prenup with Heather. She had to come and work with us. There's no choice. And it's often mentioned to us like how, as a husband and wife team, how we manage to spend all our time at work together and at home. We do both, I think, would admit that we turn off a little in our relationship at work, and we get on with what we're doing. But I've learnt so much from Heather in terms of being a human being. And that obviously then rolls into your business. So, I think day to day you have your kind of ups and downs. But ultimately, for me, it's all about learning and bettering ourselves. And Heather's been my teacher for getting on for over 20 odd years now. So, utmost respect.
Well done, Heather.
Yeah. And she's managed to stick around. So, hey.
Yeah. Well, that's brilliant. So I think we've done that bit then, Martin.
Okay.
I think we've
navigated that.
Well, we all know, don't we, that behind every great bloke there's an amazing woman. So,
and sometimes there's an amazing woman in front, John, and there's a great bloke behind.
Yeah.
That sounds wrong. Let's move on.
You've seen Kate walking down the road. She's like a speed walker. So, so how's your week? How's your week been?
Well, we've ups and downs. I've been doing all sorts and trying to organise some films that we're trying to make for this year, to checking in on the inquiries, making sure the sales are going okay. We've had our guy with a broken finger who's back this week and just doing sort of light duties with another tech, and that seems to be going well. We've had a new starter who started last week, who's doing really well. So there's lots of ups and downs at the moment. John, how about yourself?
I feel better this morning, but by the end of yesterday, I was actually feeling quite overwhelmed. Actually, and I don't know whether that's linked to the full moon. I'm not into all of that sort of stuff, but you do have biorhythms in your sort of human anatomy, don't you? And yesterday afternoon actually, I just felt quite down, but I'm back again today.
Sit on the couch, John. Now, what were you feeling down about?
I'm the sort of person that has a vision, and I can't always go as fast as I want to get to. And I think where I was is I've got a number of little projects that I've started that I haven't quite finished, probably haven't quite started them enough, and I know where I want to go, but it's just finding the time to sit there and do them properly. And then you start feeling that you're letting other people down, and the sort of the stress gets to you a little bit. And does that make sense?
Yeah,
before I carry on?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's. I think it's a common theme in business, isn't it? It's like you know, after a while, you know your business, and you know the capabilities. You've got the belief. You know where you want to go. You know where you want to be. It's just like, how do I get there quicker?
Yeah.
I get it.
And I think, also for us, the rain has stopped and the sun's shone a little bit, and the inquiries have been coming in, and you're dealing with all that, and you've got the additional pressure that you're trying to put the people on the bus before the bus leaves the station, because you can never get those sales opportunities back. So there's a lot going on because it's spring. But yeah, yesterday it just felt sort of overwhelming, and back to the ladies in our lives. I think that's where Kate would sort of sit me down and say, well, what you're going to focus on, and which bits you're going to get done, and does it really matter? Is the business going to go bust because you haven't done that project that's sort of driving it forward, to the next sort of level? And the answer is, it probably isn't. But yeah, I think I put myself under a lot of pressure to try and do things in a way to the best of my ability, and
I think sometimes you can try and do too much, and actually that's a really good point. I mean, it doesn't have to be your wife; it can just be another colleague that just can sit down. You can talk about the things, or even writing them down. and saying right, and then having a priority for right, which one is either a time priority or an important priority, and trying to put them in some kind of order. But often I think writing stuff like that down takes a little bit of the overwhelm away, for me certainly. And you kind of start to then see a plan, because I think that's what overwhelm is, isn't it? It's there's so many things going on that you're almost caught in the headlights. So it's then just reorganising that.
I'm going to add a comment to that in terms of how I feel. I'm a great one for the lists. I've got the list of the lists, you know.
On an Excel spreadsheet, no doubt.
Well, no, on a Word document.
Sponsored by Microsoft.
365. With my agent Copilot. But actually, I think what I must learn to do better is not to focus on what is still on the list. I should actually focus on what I've crossed off the list and done well. Because I think that's the bit that you sort of move on from very, very quickly. But actually, you do need to celebrate the things that you have done and not kick yourself up the backside for the things that you haven't done. And back into delegation, then it's about the world of, well, what could I give away? Could I give some of that away, or am I going to overwhelm somebody else by giving them that? So there's a whole thing in managing people, isn't there, and managing yourself, and you're part of the team.
I think that for me is another really important point that you raised, John.
Is that two I've made today, Martin? Can I?
Yes, I think so.
You're
John,
going to give me that?
You can have 2 points there.
I'll put 2 points there.
I think reflecting on what you've done well is hugely important. It's like now I'm probably going to get this wrong because I normally do, but if you've got the bad wolf on your left shoulder and the good wolf on your right shoulder, who's going to win in the battle talking to your head? Well, it's the one that you feed the most. And I think if you continually feed the person or the thoughts that, look what I've achieved in this much time, that's a far better mental state than, oh God, I'm not achieving this, I'm not achieving that. So yeah, that's my 2 pennies worth.
Good. And I think you're right there. You've got to retrain the chimp. There's a book about that, wasn't there? The chimp on your shoulder or something. You've got
Chimp
to retrain.
Paradox, I think it is.
Yeah, you got to retrain the chimp to actually acknowledge what you have done well. But when you're as old as me, Martin, you've got to change 40 years of working sort of life sort of mentality into that one. But it is possible. I'm sure it is possible. And I think if you're aware of it, then
Change is absolutely critical in growing a business. Absolutely critical. If you stand still, you'll be left behind. So you have to change in your own outlook, in what you do. You have to be brave. You have to make decisions that you don't necessarily feel comfortable with. But that change is massive, John. There's 3 points that you've made that are good today.
3?
What's going on?
I'm going to go for a 5-bar gate today. Then you've got me in depression now. So yeah, sorry about that. I'm on that. No, you got me in depression now. I can't. I've got to pull them out of the hat. So yeah. But actually, I think probably what's compounded to that was I had an amazing. I was going to say brilliant, but I've been listening to a podcast called Two Blokes on their journey to a million.
You're so narcissistic. Listening to your own podcast again and then telling people that you're doing it. I'm absolutely...
Is that not what you do then?
I'm absolutely flabbergasted. Crack on, this is great.
Well, I've actually become very conscious that I say brilliant a lot.
When talking about the Two Blokes podcast. It's a shame that no one else thinks so. Otherwise we've gone to a winner.
Nobody else is listening. So I've got to extend my vocabulary to words other than brilliant. So if any listeners have got any suggestions as to words I could use, how do they get in contact with us, Martin? You can put it on questions.
Questions at twoblokes.co.uk. Fire them in.
Oh, so
it's a really full inbox at the moment, so beware.
I told my mum that we were doing the podcast, and she says, "Well, what time?" I says, "We do it at like 6:30 in the morning, Mum." She goes, well, who's going to listen to it at that time?
Got to be honest, I have trouble.
Well, that's where you should take leaf out of my book and take the dog to walk. And anyway, I had an amazing week last week. Not brilliant, it was an amazing. That's a much better week than brilliant. And, you know, we did a lot. We did a lot within the business, and we did a lot sort of outside the business. Kate and I took some time out to go and support our breed of dog, our pet dogs. But, of course, whilst you're doing those sort of things, you know, a little bit of that work is still sort of piling on, really. So I think that contributed to my overwhelming bit. But business-wise, like you, we got a new tech. He's doing really well. And... We're cracking on with our sales targets, and the quotes are coming in. I think I did something like 15 quotes yesterday.
And how many of those do you expect to convert?
Well, this is in Draper world, probably where we do it differently to how lots of people would say you should do it on the textbook. So. The answer was, how many of those do you think we will convert? I'll describe a bit of our process. We don't enter every single person that inquires onto a database, because actually once we started to follow them up, they could actually just want lawn cutting or something like that. So we bin those off sort of straight away. It's a polite, no, we can't do that, or you're out of our area, we can't do that. Try the Lawn Care Association sort of route, or these people sort of cover that area, try those. So the ones we actually do a quotation for, I would say about 80% of those go through to actually us doing a survey, and the ones that we do a survey for, probably about 90% of those come online. But interestingly, what I was going to say is, I know that we should, you know, people will say you should put them onto a marketing list and a remarketing list, but in my mind, the way that I sort of shop is, if I've been impressed with that company, I'm going to come back to them when I'm ready.
Yeah, I agree.
And actually, there's so much stuff coming into your inbox and your whatever sort of text sort of facility that I just delete them. So we don't put them onto a sort of a remarketing list from that point of view. But interestingly, one of the quotes that I dealt with yesterday, we'd actually done last year, about the same week last year. You know, so they do come back. In actual fact, there was two people that we've one's now signed up again. That was a restarter from 2008. You know, so people do come back. So that, yeah. So the conversion rate is pretty good, actually. I think it's really important when and you should always measure this stuff. I think as long as you always measure it the same way, and you're always improving, then I don't think it matters necessarily how you measure it, or it's not so critical rather. So I think you know, as long as you can look year on year and you can say, like, I'm moving in the right direction, that's a good thing. You can then tweak things and understand your figures, but that's for me is the most important thing, is keeping the measurement the same and ensuring that you're moving in the right direction. Yeah. Yeah, and I think what's good, we talked about this in a few podcasts before about how we quote, but you know, COVID made a big change in what we're doing, and to be able to say to somebody you know, that's rang in today, what's the most important thing they probably want to know? It's how much is it?
Price, yeah.
Yeah. So to actually be able to do a quote in 10 to 15 minutes, identify the property, measure a lawn, the girls in the office have probably had a chat to them about, you know, sort of concerns they've put down. You can really make a personalised quotation for them very, very easy, and you can do
it even quicker online on some websites, John.
You can you?
Well, do you know, it's really strangely, some of the comments we've had back about, we've tried to reduce the friction completely on our website so that you can go on and you can get a quote for your lawn. You can measure your lawn and get a quote for your lawn. And some of the feedback we've had is that it seems too quick. So they haven't had all the information, and yet they're being told that this is a price and they can buy it. So that's our next step of looking at it. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because you think that the friction is the thing that's holding people back, and that price is kind of like in their mind, and so it's just more information.
Yeah, and I would say then on that then, so we have an online measuring tool as well, which we introduced this. Well, we've had one for a while, but we changed it this year, and it is significantly better than what we had before. But our proposition to people is you can get a free quote, and you can either do it yourself for an instant quote now, so they can do that at 3:00 in the morning, or if they don't feel comfortable doing that, they can, drop us a link and we'll do it for them. And actually that gives them a bit more opportunity to put some text in there about what they're after. And I think when you do start talking to the customer, which is always dangerous, isn't it, to talk to the customer, when you're trying to grow your business, and you actually talk to them, yes, a number of them, I think you then start to build up an impression of what they're after. Are you going to be able to service that customer? Like, I had a very long conversation with her. I actually rang them up, which is something I don't normally do, but I actually rang them up last night because I looked at the lawn and I just thought, from the message that I've got, from what she's told Wendy, she doesn't want all of that doing. She only wants part of it doing. I was trying to work out which bits that she wanted doing. So in the end, I actually spoke to her, and even that conversation seemed, well, I want this bit doing and that bit doing. I says, in the end, look, can you just do it on our form and then at least show me the areas that you want? And then the conversation went, well, once you've done all that, are you going to apply the product that I've bought? And I just said, no, madam, I'm sorry, we won't. So she'll be one that we won't get. I'm sure that'll be one that doesn't come in. But
I think a lot in that sales process, I think a lot of the work is done with your reviews, isn't it? It's almost like the first page of Google results, because if you're showing that you're a reputable business and you've got the reviews and other people are vouching for you, then that's reassuring. It's trust. This is a company that has longevity. They know what they're doing. All of that stuff has been dealt with in the customer's mind, or the potential customer's mind. Then they visit the website. You reassure them even more in terms of the information you're putting out. So by the time they get to contact you, it might just be about price or about convenience, like when they can come and see you or whatever. So I think that's really the last kind of piece of the parcel.
Can I ask you?
Piece of the parcel? That doesn't
parcel?
sound right.
It sounds.
Piece of the cake.
It sounds excellent. I was going to say it sounds brilliant, but I'm not going to use that word. It sounds excellent, Martin. It's an excellent word to use. That. We're not sponsored by anybody, are we? So are we able to? Or should I say, we're not sponsored by any leading suppliers just yet.
If you want to increase your customer base by 1, then you can get in contact with John for our latest sponsorship deals.
Sponsorship opportunities alert. So we aren't sponsored by anybody, but who I want to pick up on what you were talking about on reviews there, because I actually have a referral opportunity. I don't know whether you'd do. What system do you use for sort of harvesting and collating and promoting interest that the consumer wants to see?
Our team are targeted on referrals. So they have to get a certain number a year, and the reason we do that is because someone will only refer us if we're doing a good job. So the tech will only get a referral if they're doing a good job. So there's a kind of quality there, and then if the customer does refer, then the customer gets a £20 credit, the new customer gets a £20 credit, and we put 20 quid to the charity that we're supporting that year, of which this year is SAFA, the Armed Services charity. So I think we've already paid 100 or between 100 and 200 quid to them this year, so that's good.
Oh, wow. And did I ask you about referrals or reviews? I can't remember.
You asked me about referrals. Is this one of your policy brief?
No, it's not. It's not.
Did you mean to say reviews, John?
I messed up there because I was so excited in my nice clean office. If the listeners watching online now, you can see a nice sort of sunshine on my noon improved office. That's the sun, everybody. That's the sun coming through the window onto my interactive wall that I've had installed in order to do the podcast. What I meant to ask you, Martin, I do apologise. I'll cross one of those bars off the 5-bar gate, so back to normal. What platform do you use for reviews? That's what I meant to ask you.
A totally different question. Well, our technicians are also targeted on these as well, because it's another quality issue, right? So you're not going to give a review if you're not happy with the service. So we use Google. I mean, I don't think we don't use Trustpilot or anything else as yet. That may change, but I think for the time being, it's Google.
So you might be interested in my link. You could ask me later for a referral link. I use a company called Trustist.
Right.
And what's interesting about Trustist is that when we send a note to a customer to say, how did we do, they can choose whether they leave us a Google review, which is easy to do if they have a Google account, but lots of people don't have a Google account, so don't leave a review because they haven't got a Google account and don't want to open one and have all that hassle. Or they can leave a Trustist review. And for that, you don't need to have any login sort of details, and they verify it back with you. But what's amazing, I didn't use the word brilliant, what's amazing about that is they actually then automatically post it to my website. They post it to my website and my social media channels that I've asked them to post it on. So I don't have to do anything, and automatically that's then sort of increasing our exposure of those reviews and being pushed out to the general public, basically.
Yeah, there are some natty pieces. I think we've got a plug-in on our website. So we've got 2 services that we offer. We've got a small work side, which is air pro and turfing, and the lawn care side. And depending on which avenue you go down on our website, it will pull reviews on Google for those particular services. So there's a lot of natty stuff that can be done these days. But that sounds really good. The Trustist stuff.
What's really interesting is if you go onto our Greener Gardens website and the reviews page, you'll actually see how many people leave a Trustist review versus how many people leave a Google review. So I wonder whether you're missing an opportunity by. I know Google is the one that sort of.
I think
traditionally, traditionally everybody used to say, you've got to have your Google reviews, really, really smart because blah, blah, blah. But actually, the world's changing. I was talking to, I answered the phone yesterday. I do that occasionally as well.
Well done, you.
Quote and panicking about being overwhelmed. Maybe that's why I felt overwhelmed yesterday. I did some quotes and answered the phone. Maybe I should do that. But actually, I did say I thought I'd be very brave, push myself, and I said to this person that rang in, I said, where did you hear about us from? And she said, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And that is not Google related, is it? Yeah. That's your content, and that's what's on your website. And actually, having those Google reviews and having those Trustist reviews posted to your website automatically is actually what's going to drive that ChatGPT sort of stuff.
I'm noting down Trustist. I'm going to have a look at it.
Shall I send you? Well, I'd like every listener to email me for a referral link because I'll get a discount.
Okay.
Or we could sponsor us.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. Oh dear. What
How
else
are we doing for time, Martin? Blimey,
we're doing all right. Have we got anything else on the agenda?
Well, did you have any questions in this week? I know I
think you mentioned prior to recording that you said you mentioned a conversation you'd had with a friend and top dressing.
Top dressing, yes. So very quickly, we could do this if the other listener would like to hear more about it. But do you top dress, Martin?
We do.
You do. We don't.
Brilliant.
And why?
On to the next question.
Well, I'm just conscious of the time because we've been rattling on for over 30 minutes, and the listener's got to get out to work because
Yeah, I mean, we do top dress. I mean, it does cause logistical weight as you grow, because there's a lot of moving pieces, and we did come unstuck last year with deliveries not happening on time, not having stock in the yard. We're a bit more prepared this year, but yes, we do. Is the simple answer, and I think it's great for this is very kind of lawn care related, but it's great for evening out small hollows in lawns. We would never recommend top dressing for large hollows because it's just you know, you're on a hide into nothing. You get rid of one large one, you create another one. It'll never work. But certainly it has its place, and I think you know, when we're renewing lawns as well. So our renew is basically we kill off the existing lawn, we hard scarify, aerate, overseed, and we'll top dress as well, wetting agent, pre-seed fertiliser, etc. So in those circumstances we will as well. Yeah.
Okay. You just reminded me another quotation thing yesterday that somebody wanted was the the levelling of the lawn and stuff like that, and we avoid that. We'll give them the advice on the humps and the hollows, the small ones, but yeah, the bigger ones, I almost go on, it's dig it up and start again. It's a very specialist job, and we're on clay, so clay's always moving. You know, it swells up and it dries out.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we do it, we've traditionally done it, we analyse it, we know that it is good for our customers and it also has value to our business. And for that reason we will continue to do it, but I think it's also important to know or to know what to say no to, John. So actually, you know, if your operation is smoothly running without it, it doesn't, you know, I'm sure there are much bigger businesses than ours that don't do top dressing for the very reason that it can be logistically troublesome.
Yeah, and it's also what you put into your plan, isn't it? In terms of how do you get the stuff there? So that's your logistics, isn't it? I understand that now. But it's like, you know, the stuff goes to the doorstep. You've got to then get extra labour in to transport it into the back. That's more cost, and you know,
yeah,
I don't think people. It's the same conversation with waste, isn't it? Do you take the waste away? Well, no, we don't. You know, we could do, but actually we've got to put on another van. We've got to put a driver in that van. We've then got to.
You're limited, limited to the amount of work you can then do in that day because you've got waste on the van. So
yeah,
it's
and people just go, oh.
But that's but again, I mean, we used to take waste away. We used to have our vans full of wet grass, stinking the vans out. And we got to a size, and we were like, right, we've got to stop this, and that was a really difficult decision because you're thinking, like, how are people going to react? But this goes back to my point on previous podcasts. You don't judge your customers by your own beliefs. We did it. We had a bit of kickback, and we lost a few customers, but you know, the advantages that we gained as a business from doing that were huge.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have smelly vans for starters, did you?
Yeah, exactly. But even the cost advantage, the profit, you know, increase. It's be brave, and make those decisions. But do have a plan B as well.
Yeah. And I think our angle for not doing top dressing was, you know, you can go down a bit of a technical route by how compatible is the soil that you're going to put on versus the soil that's there. But I think our thing of top dressing is that the customer's perception is that you're going to seed it and you put some top dressing on the top, and that'll mean they don't have to water it. But it doesn't make any difference at all to the amount of water they're going to make. No. And actually, what we learned.
Go on. Sorry.
What we learned on a supplier visit, and I think you were there with your guys down in Suffolk, was it was a long time ago, Martin. So you might not remember it, and I might have it wrong. But you know what they were talking about from the seed and the germination. It's how close the seed is in contact with the soil. The seed to soil contact was the most important thing, which means that you've actually got to do a better job of actually doing the right scarification. Now, if I'm so from a topsoiling point of view, I'm not going to put the topsoil on because of the issues there and all the extra costs. But actually, if I can get the seed in contact with the soil correctly, and the customer's going to water it their bit, they're going to get the germination success, because we all know we put more seed down than what we should do in that sort of broadcast sort of thing, because of the the sort of the rule there that there's a bit in there for the birds. But yeah, it's the same with the waste. I'm going to seed it, but I haven't raked out as much scarification, as much rubbish, because I'm managing the waste that I'm taking away, because I want to give a good perception I'm taking the waste away, but I actually haven't done the scarification job right.
Yeah, you're right. That germination is all to do with the soil contact and then keeping the soil moist. And I guess that's why we use green manure based top dressing, because that retains moisture better. So what we're doing is increasing our chances of that germination for any seed that isn't in contact with the soil beneath. So it might have a layer over the top. Have you got a visitor?
Yeah, hang on. Come on then.
I've never heard Stephen Bartlett let the dogs in. I thought it was who let the dogs out, not who let the dogs in.
He's missing a trick. And there's Flint. Look, anybody, there's Flint.
Very cute. Well, is that time we wrap up?
They've either had the breakfast or they're wanting the breakfast.
All good stuff for the listener.
Or was that a cue for me not to come out with some witty sort of comment? I don't know if that was witty. So, well, yes, Martin, I think we should end there before it goes. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. Have you got any ideas?
No. Someone send in some material, for goodness sake. This is doing my head in.
Well, we've got lots of ideas. I enjoyed that, Martin. I always enjoy my talks with you, and now I can see you as well at the same time. Then it's even better. So, so yeah, from a Martin and the two blokes and our journey to 1 million. If you do have any questions, please send them in.
Subscribe, share.
Share. The comments to say that John's much more engaging on a podcast are not the sort of comments that
I thought.
I do love them, actually.
To coin a phrase, I thought they were brilliant.
I've got an apology to John Boone, who didn't know whether we was taking the mickey or not about talking about his. I wasn't. Martin was. Just remember that, John. As you know, we're not experts. We're not preaching. We're two blokes having some honest reflection, which I think you've heard today about us being talking about being overwhelmed. So if it has been useful, please like and share it and all that sort of stuff you have to do. And we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Thank you from John.